Color is vital to everyday life. It affects your mood and how you perceive things. You know, there's a reason why people in science, psychology, marketing, design, and art all study color so much. And it's because unless you're blind or colorblind, chances are that color makes a huge impact in your life. Hey, what's up guys? It's Kaylee and I'm back at it again with another LEGO YouTube video. This week for my Behind the Design series, I'm going to do a study on color because I think that color is such a vital thing to LEGO building. And I think that when you're designing and planning for your LEGO creations, it's so important to pick out the right colors. You know, it's still something that I'm learning how to do, but once you guys get a grasp on it and really understand it, it can drastically change your builds. So I'm going to discuss what color is, different color schemes you can use, and color psychology. This is going to be a pretty packed video, so buckle in and let's go. First off, we know that color is important, but what the heck is color? Well, color is basically the way our eyes and brains perceive different wavelengths of light when they are reflected off objects. So basically, depending on the wavelength of the light, that's what you'll end up seeing. If you guys would like a more in-depth explanation on how the brain and eye work together in order to help you see different colors through wavelengths of light, I'd be more than happy to make a video on that because I actually find it really fascinating and I learned about it last year in AP Psychology and yeah, it's just really cool. So I'd love to make a video on that for you guys. Sorry, it's probably like really nerdy, but you know, embracing my inner nerd. So we know what color is scientifically, but what are the different colors? I'm going to take you for a blast in the past to kindergarten or preschool when you first learned about these colors. I'm going to talk about 3 different categories of colors. First are primary colors. Now you probably heard of these, so I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds to try to guess the primary colors. Let's see if you can recall them. Okay, so the primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. Did you guys get them? So yes, these are the 3 primary colors. The second category of colors are, well, secondary colors. Secondary colors are created by mixing 2 of the primary colors together. So for example, red and yellow create orange, blue and yellow create green, and red and blue create violet. Orange, green, and violet. Those are the secondary colors. Then come the third category of colors, which are tertiary colors. So tertiary colors are essentially like a mix of primary and secondary colors. So I'm not going to name all of them, but for example, you got red orange, red violet, yellow orange. Those are your tertiary colors. And these 3 categories of colors create what we call the color wheel. So you might have seen this color wheel, which is basically like a wheel of different colors that are organized very specifically. They're organized based on their chromatic relationships. And it's kind of, if you look at it, you can tell that it's kind of split half-half between warm and cool colors. So warm colors are colors that kind of give off a more welcoming and happy type of vibe, and cool colors give a more calm and subdued vibe. Using this color wheel is essential to creating color schemes, which are palettes of color that are pleasing to the eye when they're together. Now, color schemes are important because you don't want to just be using one color for the entire build because that would look really boring. So you want to mix in different colors. But if you mix in the wrong colors together, it will look bad. I think when building Lego, it's so important that you pick the right colors because if you pick terrible colors that do not go well with each other, the build might end up looking like trash, you know, just because of the colors. Like if you built the exact same thing but with a good color scheme, it might look like 10,000 times better. So I think color is such an important part of your build. It's also so important that you pick the right colors because colors will help your audience perceive your build in a certain way. One rule of interior design is called the 60-30-10 rule. Basically, those numbers represent percentages of a room. So you want to make 60% of the room the dominant shade, 30% the secondary color, and 10% the accent color. If we're purely speaking interior design, the dominant shade is typically a more like neutral or subdued hue. So this would be like the colors of the walls, a couple of the furniture pieces, and maybe even like the ceiling. If we take a look at my most recent mock, which was the Hogwarts House mock, we can see that the colors that I used for the dominant shade was white and gray is just like another shade of white. Then we take a look at the secondary color, which is supposed to fill up around 30% of the room. This color is usually a little bit bolder than the dominant shade, and usually it's for things like flooring, rugs, and again, some of the furniture. The secondary color I picked for my coastal house was brown and medium nougat. Both of these colors actually use orange as an undertone, so basically my secondary color was orange, or like colors with an orange undertone. And then it comes to the accent color, which is supposed to fill up around 10% of your room. Now typically accent colors are the boldest color in your house or wherever you're designing in the room. So for my coastal house, I picked blue. Might not seem that bold, but there are a couple reasons why I picked blue as my accent color. And one of the reasons is because of color scheme. So the first of 3 color schemes I will be discussing is the complementary color scheme. Basically, the complementary color scheme takes the color wheel, and what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 colors off the color wheel that are directly across from each other, like they're opposite each other, and that is your color scheme. So if we take a look at the color wheel, you see orange, which is the color that I'm using as my secondary color, and what's right across from it is blue, which is what I'm using as my accent color. Now these 2 colors might look like they clash, but they actually do work well together because you got one cool tone and one warm tone kind of balancing out each other. Now because I did use orange as an undertone for this build, it's a little bit harder to see the color scheme in its full glory. So a more obvious use of this color scheme is in my Easter house mock when I used yellow and purple as the accent color. The second color scheme I'd like to discuss is called the Analogist color scheme. Basically what you do is you, again, go back to the color wheel, pick one central color, and then you use the 2 colors on each side of it. So it will end up using 2 primary colors and then one mix of the 2 primary colors. I haven't really tested this color scheme yet because I don't have the right colors in Lego, but I'd say that the closest use of this is in my luxury apartment mock when I use navy blue and sand green. Those 2 colors are pretty close in the color wheel. I could have also used like a kind of tealish color to fully pan out this color scheme, but I don't have any teal bricks. So I ended up just using sand green and navy blue, but yeah, that's the kind of color scheme that we're going for there. The third and final color scheme I will be discussing is called the Triad. Now what is a triad? Well, let's break down the word tri. Tri is 3, so involves 3 colors. And what else uses tri? Triangle. So basically for the triad, what you're going to do is, again, go to the color wheel and you're going to get a little triangle and then you kind of put that on the color wheel and those are your 3 colors. So 3 colors that make a triangle. So for example, yellow, blue, and red, or orange, green, and violet. Those are examples of this triad. Now this is another color scheme that I haven't really used that much because in modern builds it's a little bit harder to use this kind of color scheme, but I think it's a really beautiful color scheme, definitely used a lot in marketing. That is called the Triad color scheme. Now all these color schemes that I mentioned, you can all apply these to the 60-30-10 rule that I mentioned earlier. So basically you can pick the complementary color scheme and use those colors from the complementary color scheme and incorporate it as your accent colors. So it's not like you have to take 3 colors and then choose one as your dominant shade, one as your secondary shade, and one as your accent color. Like, no, you can just use it in the accent color because it says accent color, but it can be like accent colors, you know? It'd be kind of boring if you only had 3 colors in your build. So, you know, it's always okay to have multiple colors, but as long as they all go together and you find a way to tie it together, it's good. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is color psychology. So, as I mentioned before, color is essential to the way people perceive things. So, picking the right colors is really important to your build. If you're trying to build something gloomy, but you pick red, orange, and yellow as your colors, I hate to break it to you, but your build ain't looking gloomy.
Okay. Well, not quite. Okay, not quite. You're on the right track, all right? This is the right track, and this is you. You're on the right track, but not quite, all right? Maybe we should look at it from another perspective.
Right, because those colors are really warm colors and they radiate energy. So I'm going to break down a couple colors for you guys and kind of go through the color psychology of those colors to kind of show you how each color is associated with different emotions or virtues, I guess. And actually, I think the best way to break this down is by using the colors of the 4 Hogwarts houses. Let's start off with the most popular house, Gryffindor. Gryffindor's colors are red and gold. Red is a warm color that typically represents energy, war, strength, power, desire, passion, and love. And gold represents prestige and it illuminates wisdom and wealth. For Gryffindors who are stereotypically courageous, these 2 colors are the perfect representation of them. The next house is Ravenclaw, which is my favorite house, and yes, I am a little bit biased if you didn't notice my mug over here. I'm a Ravenclaw. But anyways, the colors for Ravenclaw in the movies are blue and gray. In the books, they're blue and bronze, but we're just gonna stick to blue and gray for this video. Blue typically represents trust, loyalty, wisdom, confidence, intellect, and faith. And gray represents neutrality and balance. Again, I think these 2 colors are the perfect representation of the stereotypically smart or intelligent Ravenclaws. Then we have Hufflepuff, whose colors are yellow and black. So yellow typically represents joy, happiness, intellect, and energy. And yellow is the perfect color for Hufflepuffs who are stereotypically kind-hearted. Then we move on to the last house, which is Slytherin. Slytherin's colors are dark green and silver. Dark green is associated with ambition, greed, and jealousy, and silver is associated with respect, dignity, and determination. For the ambitious and sly Slytherins, I say that these 2 colors perfectly represent them. Okay, so back to my Coastal House mock. I wanted to make sure that the colors looked good together, right? Which is why I picked a color scheme. But I also wanted to give a certain vibe, which was I wanted to give a very calming vibe. So what better colors to pick as calm colors than cool colors? Now the perfect cool color for this vibe that I was going for was blue, because I already picked my undertone color as orange, and blue and orange, the complementary color scheme. Now also, blue kind of balances out the orange because I wanted it to be more cool. So if I picked a warm color, it would just look too warm and energetic. Okay, it's also important to note that for houses, it's totally okay to switch up the color schemes from room to room. So like if it's enclosed rooms, you can totally switch up the color scheme in different rooms. The one thing I would say is try to keep at least one consistent color throughout the whole build, so it kind of like ties everything together. And that's basically my whole entire crash course on color. I really hope you guys were able to learn something from this and that it can help you improve your builds. It's definitely something that I'm learning how to use and incorporate in my build, so I'm still learning. We can kind of learn together. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about design tips for Lego, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, and bye!